that too much?
It looks a bit like you're gonna make a pizza.
We just wrapped filming on a very tongue-in-cheek video about the horrors of photography and filmmaking.
That's why Amy's wearing the mustache.
No, it is not. Nope.
Okay, so the video itself is about the horrific stories that people may have experienced while they're on set with their cameras, some technical error that ruined your day. But it's also got this kind of Vincent Price, Treehouse of Horror sort of trope to it.
It was so fun to shoot, but we had to take in a lot of different techniques and a lot of different kit to create that look.
And we want to show you how we did that. So we're going to take you behind the scenes on this shoot, and maybe some of these techniques and some of the gear we use could be helpful for your next project.
Let's take a look. This has got to come off. It's driving me mad. Ah. Ah. Oh, just my real one left now.
So let's talk about general camera framing and composition. So here's our setup, here's our scene with Amy. We had a very sort of specific vision in mind. We didn't want sort of this wide angle, distorted look. We wanted something that was a little more controlled and almost like a picture frame. So we brought the camera back a few feet and on a zoom lens for our A-cam, we kept it at about 50 millimeters, and that gave us exactly the shot we were looking for.
As Justin said, we had a really specific vision in mind of this kind of looks like a painting, you know, it's very set. And so we made that camera choice. But if you're doing something from a different perspective, then you may want to do the complete opposite. For example, if you're taking a shot of like your subject sitting on a sofa and they're looking at the TV and the camera is the POV of the TV, then you'll want to go the opposite way. You can push your camera a lot closer to the subject, zoom that lens right out and have that feel of being right in the room with them. And knowing that vision up front allows you to decide what lens you're going to need for the shot. It allows you to know if you're going to need all this space that we needed or if you can actually shoot it in a real room rather than in a studio location. Just having that vision allows you to make a lot of decisions ahead of time.
So this is us at about 50 millimeters, a few feet away from our subject. Gives us that not very distorted, more like picture frame-esque kind of shot. That's really what we were going for. But let me show you what happens when we move it a little closer, and this might be something you want to do for whatever type of project you're working on. So you can already see the difference here, and it makes a difference, you know, in terms of what you want to see and what you don't want to see. From about 24 millimeter, you can see sort of the compression that's happening. It's a little bit more warped, which is cool. You know, I like a wide angle, but it didn't exactly work for this shot, but maybe it'll work for something you're working on.
This feels real close.
Yeah, I mean, again, theoretically, this could work, you know, if we moved some lights around and did it a little differently, but we wanted something a little tighter, a little more like a picture frame.
Lighting was a massive part of today, so we brought in Maxwell, who is an absolute expert at lighting. But it started off with a few challenges, right?
It did. Yeah, the space lacks some of the things I would normally use,
yeah.
But in a lot of scenarios you can get creative, and that's what a lot of filmmaking is. It's just dealing with challenges.
Yeah.
It's almost, you know, at a lot of our budget levels, for what we're spending, it's just the nature of the business. Like, you're gonna have to get creative, you're gonna have to solve problems. So we have our large panel light down here, and mostly its size is just to help kind of keep it soft. And then it has a fairly heavy diffusion inside of it. And so the unit is fairly self-contained, and it gives us a very nice quality of light, and it comes from underneath to kind of help with the story and the contrasty kind of look we were going for, as well as the candles. And it has a very tame candle effect. It's just going through different intensities. Natural to your scene is really what you're trying to do. Like, this isn't natural, you know, the candle would be way too dim, or you wouldn't be able to actually balance the scene properly. It just looks natural for our scene.
And it brings in some really basic principles, okay? This is obviously a huge light, which a lot of people won't have access to. But we've got some really basic principles of, this is very warm, this is a fiery kind of light, and then we have this very cool light up here.
So we just put a little bit of this here, and it should do enough to kind of convince it, like, oh, there's some moonlight seeping in from, you know, some sort of window light, or then we can kind of build some of the other elements around that. So it's just a Nanlite 120C, and it has this fabric on it that this is a dirt cheap fabric. I don't even know what it is. It's very heavy, and I have it in a couple different sizes just to like break up a lot of light. And so this light on its own can be kind of sourcey in some scenarios.
Yeah.
And so if you put something like that on, it just gives a nice even glow.
You might not even think about it when you're watching it, but having that in your head, we were like, okay, it would be nice to have some cooler light coming in from the back here. You know, we've tried to make this spooky, so obviously it's nighttime, so we'll try and make it a kind of moonlighty effect.
Right.
But you don't even need to have huge things. If you know that in your head, you just know, okay, I'm going to need warmth from somewhere, I'm going to need cool from somewhere. It just allows you to make a lot of those decisions beforehand, doesn't it?
You could do this with something small like this. It's the same exact principle. The only real advantage to this is just because we're doing a wider shot, and it just helps to have a little bit more like punch. But the principles are the same. Like if we were doing a tight shot, we could do all of it with just a handful of these little guys.
There's actually those kind of small LED panels and things like that. There's a ton of them available, and some of them have some really cool effects.
With the way digital sensors work now and how sensitive they are to light, like little guys like this go a long way. Yeah. And so I have a number of these just in my kit at all times because you can get so much value from this. Like light is light regardless of what you're doing. And so direction and shape of light and story are always gonna kind of take precedent. And so it doesn't matter what toys you got. Like at the end of the day, this light in the similar position wouldn't look the same, but it would do the same thing to a degree. This lamp was here, and so the piece of the video is about being horror stories, and so it's just this little Fresnel, like this is an old film light. So we put it in the background as a focal point, something that's kind of interesting. If we fired it directly into the scene, I can't really guarantee, I don't know what light bulb's in here, I can't really guarantee that it's like a film grade light, something that's like actually useful. So I just put it off to the side so it's just enough so it's still bright in frame. And then I used a second light to actually be a functional hair light. And so that would actually push this light to the subject. And so it makes sense when the final piece is done.
So we were trying to dress the scene a little bit and make it kind of feel like this old creepy house. So we kind of pulled in just some different things that were here that we had use of, and this was one of the weird little things.
If it's in the shot, like not everything needs to be lit, but if you put light on it, the audience will take note of it. And so it's just a tad bit of light, and this is the same kind of blue hue that the 120C for the shadow fill gave us, so it helps with the illusion that there's some more light coming this way.
One of the best parts of a shoot like this, where you're trying to really push a look, is deciding what props you're going to need, what location you're going to go for, all the little extras that really push forward that vision. And today we were really lucky with where we were. Justin booked a great place.
Yeah, we got this awesome Pier Space location. It has a lot of different little areas that you can pick from. And we had lots of props as well. I mean, the place came with this beautiful armchair, that wonderful sort of light and little crystal ball we were able to sort of dress the background in. That candelabra is very nice. But we also brought a few things like this wonderful wine red smoking jacket.
Yes, and this was a big decision because a part of, pushing forward a vision like we were was understanding what does that look really need to have. And the red smoking jacket is just a huge part of this kind of look of the vision we were going for. And there was a couple of other little things as well. Notably, haze spray. That's what, we don't need more. It's never ending.
Hi, so now we're at the MPB studio, and I'm gonna tell you a little bit about how we shot the interviews for our Camera Horror Stories video. So the kind of style we were going for was we were trying to replicate or parody the interviews you might see on like a cheesy paranormal investigation show, like something you might see on like the Travel Channel or something. They're very dramatic and personal stories that these people are giving about their paranormal experience that they had. I really wanted to emphasize drama and shadow and mystery and overall kind of like spookiness. So to achieve that, we really just used a very simple setup. For lighting, we just used 2 lights. That's it. We had a key light and a backlight. For the key light, we had this dome modifier on and this sheet of diffusion inside the dome. which basically just helped keep the light very soft. And the fact that it's so close to the subject also helps with the softness as well. And then we also had this control grid inside of the dome, which really just stops the light from spreading. It keeps it very controlled and directional. For this backlight, it was just one light up on a C-stand just to give a little texture to the background. And that's it. We didn't have fill light. I really wanted to keep this side of the subject's face in shadow. I didn't really have a hair light going. We also had two cameras. We had the A cam here and then we had the B cam. That B cam shot was really helpful in editing if I had to like stitch together a story or make some interesting cuts, but it's also a nice looking shot where we really get that shadow and just that light sort of streaking on the opposite side of their face. So that really helps if you want to like underline a certain line of the story, you know, so you can use editing and cutting to your advantage in that way. And then for audio, again, super simple, just a boom mic, just like this one. Just a boom mic on a boom pole, and that's it. So yeah, super easy setup, something you can easily replicate yourself with just any two lights and some diffusion. You can also tweak it a lot. You know, there's plenty of wiggle room here if you want to add like an accent light or if you wanted to add a color LED or something. But otherwise, a very simple setup for the Camera Horror Stories interviews.
Hopefully seeing the behind the scenes of what we've been doing today has given you some inspiration maybe for some of your own projects too.
And if you have any suggestions, like any cool lighting setups, any gear recommendations, or any little tips and tricks, like for example, let's say you need to make a certain character a little taller in a scene.
So it's not noticeable.
Yeah, so it's like not noticeable at all. It's like very natural.
Make sure if you've got any of your little secrets, pop them in the comments so we can all have a chat about them. If you've got any questions for us, put them there too. And we'll be doing loads more videos, so make sure to subscribe to the channel as well. But for now, a massive thank you for watching, and I hope you join us in the next video from MPB.